everybody in this novel is unreliable.
Everybody in life, darling, is unreliable.
Okay, so end of the lesson, click.
I think the thing is, I wanted to talk about the idea of identity and perception. I've done this several times in books before, the idea of how we perceive other people, how we perceive ourselves, how we represent ourselves to other people, and how much of what we perceive we can actually trust. And because I was writing mostly about the internet, I realised that actually you can never be sure of anything, ever, because what you see is not necessarily what you get. And even when you think you're being honest, subconsciously you do tend to repress things about yourself that you don't want other people to know. In the case of Blue-Eyed Boy and Albertine, my two narrators, there are many things that they don't want people to know, and they either hide them or they reveal them in sort of sly subconscious ways that the reader has to delve into and find out about.
You also mess around with one of my favorite subjects, synesthesia.
Ah, yes.
Which is so cool, I guess, unless you actually have it, in which case it's a huge pain. But explain what synesthesia is.
Well, it's not always a pain. I've spoken to so many people, and some find it so difficult to live with that they can hardly leave their house, and some people just find it an enormous joy. It is a condition which is unique to every person who has it, whereby one of the senses is physically linked to another one. So let's say a colour could trigger a scent or a sound could trigger a physical sensation or a smell. Very often you have numbers which are perceived in colours by people, or words that are perceived in colours. Sometimes you have shapes. I was talking to a woman who perceives things in terms of shapes and textures. But it sounds crazy when you talk to people, because unless you're experiencing what they're experiencing, you can't possibly understand why Friday is green or pointy or kind of bobbly with a funny smell of fish or something like that. And of course it gets you back into this idea of perception and this concept which is throughout the whole book, that what you perceive is not necessarily what anybody else perceives, even though it may be the same thing that you are both looking at, both experiencing.
Is the internet the most constructed identity vehicle we've ever come up with?
Well, it's certainly very useful, and it's so immediate, and the connections we make are so immediate. And we have never had more choice in whom we connect to and in exactly how much of ourselves we give to these people. And I've found that, as I spend a lot of time on the internet, as I think a lot of authors do, the kind of intensity of some relationships that are created there and the intimacy that's created, I think particularly the fact that you can be anonymous with people and you can share ideas with them, has allowed people to be much less inhibited perhaps than they would be in real life, and to tell secrets that they don't necessarily tell to people even close to them, because there are no real consequences. Of course there's no real consequence either to misbehaviour or rudeness or abuse or any of those other things.
At least we think there's no repercussion. We choose to, but that too is also illusory.
It is indeed. There are a lot of illusions there, the illusion of intimacy, the illusion of freedom, the illusion of anonymity. I've wanted to try to use all of that because I think it creates a certain special kind of mindset. And I think it does bleed out into real life too. I think people who get used to the connections that they make online modify their behaviour when they're offline, sometimes with quite interesting consequences. And in the case of Blue-Eyed Boy and Albertine, you are never quite sure what they're thinking, what they're doing offline, because online they have such a strong identity and such a strong idea of what they are, which is actually quite different to what they are in real life.
Blue-Eyed Boy blogs at a site called
Bad Guys Rock, and it's his own website. It's a website for fiction mostly, which purports to celebrate villains throughout the fictional universe. And basically it's for fans of villains. And
he chooses to be not just celebrative, but be the villain.
Yes, he'd like to be a villain. He has created a villainous little identity of his own, and he uses it to post stories, quite emotional, inflammatory stories on this website, and he puts them up there for people to admire or to criticise as they wish, and they reflect various aspects of his own real-life fantasy. This is a man in his 40s with a rather sad life, who still lives with his mother, who is of course indestructible. She is a terrible manipulative woman who he's never quite managed to escape. He's the last survivor of 3, and he is going to be with her forever. And so his fantasies on Bad Guys Rock are mostly to do with the death of women of a certain age. His mother, of course, will never die. He knows that.
Dysfunctional doesn't even really start to describe how he is with women.
No, he's never really been allowed to grow up. His mother is such a giant presence in his life that she has never allowed another woman to get anywhere near him. Consciously or subconsciously, she has always got rid of female influence. He's never had a girlfriend. He's never really had a friend. There has just been Ma all the time. Ma, who is this kind of global presence, this inescapable woman. And he doesn't, he doesn't really even try and escape anymore. He just submits and lives out his fantasies elsewhere.
What is the kick for you for writing?
Oh, for me, the kick is the voodoo. I like writing. I've always loved writing. I would do it recreationally even if I weren't in print. It's very nice to be in print. It's nice to be read. It's even nicer when people like what they read. But I would do it anyway because to me it's the red shoes. I just can't not do it. Yeah, I was up at 6 this morning in my hotel room writing, and, that too is great fun. I like rewriting, although sometimes I throw the editor's notes across the room a few dozen times before I start. Just the kick of getting it down there on the paper and creating these little squiggly lines on a page that makes somebody across the room do something or feel something is just the closest thing to magic you can get.
The book is Blue-Eyed Boy. I've been speaking with the author Joanne Harris, and Blue-Eyed Boy, published by Doubleday.